Welcome to the Winning Move podcast. I'm your host, Stratton Brown. We have an awesome guest on today. One of my really good friends, Jason Pritchard. He's going to talk about how he's a master manifester, the best investor in Fresno. What else? The homeless housing. Well, you got it all, bro.
We got a lot of stuff going on right now, man. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, bro. Like I was even like thinking back to when I did the last podcast not that long ago with you and Butler.
Yeah, bro.
And just from then to now, how much cool stuff that we've done, man. This big deal in Pebble Beach, plus the motel, plus all these other kind of crazy things kind of moving, man. So it's good.
And master salesman. I think that's one thing nobody really appreciates.
That's right, bro. That's right.
Tell everybody about, you're like, bro, buying houses is so fucking easy because what I had to do before.
Yeah. No, man, my background before the last corporate job that I had was working as a recruiter for an online school. And at the time, they were charging something like $90,000 for a bachelor's degree online. And we were selling that completely basically over the phone at the end, right? So it was all done over the phone. Like we were using dialers in 2005 and 6 before dialers were cool. I feel like dialers now are like in vogue and everybody's like, hey, I got this new dialer. And we were using that like 15 years ago, man, to like just get on and hammer out phone calls, man. And so that was where I got my sales chops, man. I got really good at that. And then the other company I was at before, just getting really good at sales. And that's what helped me in this business when I got in. So
we're going to take it back. Jason's also a master reverse ager.
Yeah, that's right, dude. Not always. I wasn't always like this, dude. I wasn't always 40 going on 30, dude. I was in very bad health, dude, when I was in my mid-20s, man. Like I remember, I think we talked about it, dude. Like at the first company that I was at, everybody smoked cigarettes. And so I got into smoking. I'd never smoked before, but I kind of got into smoking because it was a social thing. And that's what everybody did. They always got more breaks than everybody else because they're always kind of going out smoking cigarettes. And so in 25, I was smoking a pack of cigarettes every other day. I was eating out like 2-3 times a day. I was 60 pounds heavier than I am right now, just in terrible shape, man. And we turned it around, dude. We got serious about my health. And that's one of the things that I've learned, dude, is that, it doesn't matter how much money you make if you're not here to enjoy it and you're not here to, like if your health is in bad shape, it's not worth it, dude. So
no, not at all. But all right. So were you doing entrepreneurship early on in life?
I was not, dude. Like I had always been intrigued by the idea of, I'll call it wealth accumulation. I've always been intrigued by like accumulating wealth, making money. I remember when I was in 6th grade, I was voted the kid that was most likely to be a millionaire in my class. And I have no idea why. And it's funny how like these things happen when you're young and it plants those seeds, right, dude? And I haven't thought about that for a long time, but for whatever reason, I was always into that. And I knew that I wanted to make money when I was a kid, but I didn't really have the right vehicle or the right mindset when I was young. Before it was just about like looking cool and doing a lot of the stuff that you see now on social media. But it wasn't until I got into real estate where I actually found the vehicle that I knew that was right for me. I thought I was going to be able to do it like through my corporate jobs. And I learned quickly that wasn't going to be the avenue for me.
So how come it wasn't the avenue? Because like you were in sales and that's high ticket ass sales.
It is,
zero
man.
Overhead.
It is, man. And we got compensated what I thought was well, but looking back at like what we were actually doing, they weren't paying us anything, dude. Like the company was obviously making all the money, you know what I mean? And so for us, I just learned that you get capped out very quickly in corporate America, right? And you're conditioned to believe that, $200,000-$300,000 a year is like you've made it when you've got there, right? And so that was just kind of those seeds that were being planted in me that I was gonna kind of work my way up the ladder, move into like mid-level management, then maybe like senior management, and make $300,000 a year and have a nice house and a nice car, and take my vacation a couple weeks every year, and that was going to be it. I never thought that I knew that it was possible, but I never thought that I was the kind of person that was capable of making $200,000 or $300,000 in a month. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I wouldn't have thought that. You can't do that in corporate America. You know what I'm saying?
No, not much.
And so you see stuff like that happening and you're like, well, that's great for that person, but it's probably not going to be for me. That's not in the cards for me. You know what I mean?
What switched?
I just reached this point, bro, where, I knew that I could see my future looking at the other people that I work with. It was very easy, right? I looked at the guys that were 40, 50 years old that had been at those companies for much longer than I had been. And I was smart enough at that point. I was in my early 30s to realize that, you know, if I just stay down this road, this is going to be exactly what I'm going to be doing when I'm their age. Right. And I just was not happy with that. And, you know, we've talked about this, man. I sat down, talked with my wife, and we basically made a plan where I said, I've always wanted to do real estate. I felt like at that moment, if it wasn't going to happen, then it was never going to happen. You know what I mean? And so, you know, we just went after it, dude. Like, you know, I give her a ton of credit because she believed in me more than I believed in myself at that time, man. And, you know, it was a lot of struggle and a lot of hardship, and people see all the cool stuff that we're doing now. And, you know, I wasn't posting on social media back then, dude. Like, I wasn't posting those sleepless nights and, you know, the like working 9, 10, 11 months without making any money and, you know, spending all that money on marketing and going on appointments and failing and wanting to quit. And all that stuff led to kind of where we're at today, bro. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, man. Wouldn't change anything because it's all gotten me here to where I'm at now.
And bro, you were the first, you bought my first wholesale deal.
I did. I remember that deal, dude. I remember that one, man. That was, I remember buying it without going and seeing it. And I think like you sent me the best possible pictures of the house that you could send me. So I was like, all right, this looks good. And then we got out there and I looked at it and I was like, God, this one is really hairy. And I just don't ever like, one of the things I've learned in this business and just in life in general, like I do not like saying that I'm going to do something and then going back on my word, right? Especially in real estate, I found like your word is very, very important, right? And a lot of times people are making decisions based on you saying yes to doing something, right? And then if the community is not a very big community out here, man, and in general, right? Like the people that are investing and doing the type of investing that we're doing, regardless of where you're at, it's usually everybody kind of knows each other. And as soon as you burn somebody or do something wrong or you don't perform on a deal, it's going to get out. And I have been very happy to say that I've just never had that issue, even on deals like that, where I was like, geez, I don't know if I even really want to buy this, but we still came through, did it. I think I ended up sticking it on the market and I resold it. And I think I made like $1,500 or something. And that was the happiest $1,500 I made because I was just like, I want to get this house off my hands as fast as possible. Somebody else can deal with it, man.
Bro. Okay. So Jason bought this house that I sold to him. And then another guy bought it from Jason online. Yeah. And then Jason ended up buying remember, he bought his flip.
Yeah, he did. It was crazy because he ended up buying, I don't know what his situation was, but he ended up buying like like 8 or 9 or 10 properties over the course of however many months, right? And he got stuck on a few of them. And one of them, the agent that helped him buy my property, I was following her Instagram and she posted a story saying, hey, my investor buyer is looking to liquidate some of his properties. I've got a really good deal on one. And I immediately messaged her. I bought it literally. I think we're in contract that same day. And I bought that one. And
made a killing.
Didn't need a ton of work. I don't really know why he liquidated it the way that he did, but you know, it is what it is, man. His, you know, it was my good fortune. So we took advantage of it. Yeah.
Gary says hi. He had the same epiphany. Mike Hambright says Jason's the man. What's going on, Mike?
Mike, what's up? Mike, Gary, thanks for tuning in, guys.
And then Veronica, Jason helped me so much. Thank you. Bro, that stuff. And let's talk about social media. Yeah. Jason Pritchard has the smallest, most engaged social media following on the planet.
That's funny.
It doesn't matter. Bro, we were talking about it earlier. All of them will give you $100,000. You're like, hey, I need $100,000. All of them. Your engagement as far as like the
it is crazy, questions. Bro. It's honestly mind-boggling and it's flattering for the people that do tune in and the people that message me, man. I really, really appreciate that. And what I would say is one of the biggest reasons why I'm so open and honest about the things that I post and sharing the wins and the losses and everything in between is because when I was starting, I really felt like I was genuinely just out on an island figuring this stuff out on my own. You know what I mean? And you started not that long after me, and I know you can remember kind of how our local community was. It was starting to open up a little bit more with certain guys, but it was still very close knit, and everybody they were not collaborating the way that everybody collaborates and works with each other right now, right? And I can just remember just feeling so lost at the beginning, bro. And like, how do I do this? And who do I go talk to if I don't know anybody in real estate and I don't have prior relationships to tap into? Where do I go? Who do I look at, right? And for me, one of the biggest reasons why I like posting so much is because I want to help people that were like me when I first started and just share those things, man. And even you can see the stuff that I'm posting, I'm really living that stuff out, even just it's at a different level, right? Like the deals that I'm working are just bigger deals, right? But I'm still doing the fundamental things that I talk about every single day, just operating from faith and doing it and believing in yourself and believing in your ability and detaching from the outcome and all these different things, man. And so, yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool to see everybody get the good feedback from everybody, and hopefully everybody gets value from it.
Bro, so I remember when I was working with Alan, we sold you a deal, and I was like, bro, who the fuck bought that? And he's like, Pritchard bought it. I was like, what the fuck do you mean Pritchard bought it? That thing was dog shit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, Pritchard bought it.
It was Wilson, dude. The house on Will. I still have that as a rental, dude. That was one of the maybe like the 6th or 7th rental that I've got, dude. Yeah.
And like, but you went on an absolute buying spree, and you didn't give a fuck. Like you're just like, bro, I'm gonna buy him. I'm gonna add him to the rental. I'm gonna add him to the portfolio. I just have a number I want to reach.
Yeah. Yeah.
What gave you like that type of faith?
Dude, it was getting around guys like Alan and some of the other guys that were really encouraging me to start holding on to properties, right? Like at that point, like up into year 2 of like my investing journey, all I ever did was flip because I was just looking to replace my income from my old job, right? And so in my eyes, flipping was the best way to do that. And then I got around guys like Alan and some of these other guys that we know, and they were encouraging me to be like, hey, like you should start buying rentals. Alan had like 30-something rentals at that time, right? And they not only encouraged me, but they would help me. Like one of the very first rental that I bought, I remember his wife, Alan and Jennifer, they came to the property. They walked me through it. I was going to wholesale that deal and make like $3,500. And now, dude, I own that rental. I probably owe like $125 on it, and it's worth $275 like all day long, dude. And so it was a tough stretch that years 2, 3, and 4, and year 5 when I was just going on that buying spree that you're talking about. We went from like 0 to 50 rentals in 3 years. But I'm so happy we did that, dude, because like most of those houses have almost doubled since I bought them, dude.
How much? You've made a fuck ton of money off of your refinances.
Just the refis, dude. Like we're closing a refi. We're refinancing like almost 20 units. It's like a dozen different properties, and we'll pull probably like between 200 and 250 grand tax-free cash on it. And then we'll just take that, and like that's the cool thing, and why I've been so glad that we bought the rental properties the way that we did is because it allowed, there's so many different ways that you can reposition the portfolio. You can sell things off that are not performing or just don't fit your model anymore. You can take that money, recycle it back into things that do. You can refinance them, lower rates. You can raise the rents. There's all these different ways once you start accumulating a certain amount of properties where you don't just have to grow. You can tweak the portfolio that you have to get it to like perform optimally. And that's been, dude, that in and of itself has been a huge thing, man. It's been a big, it's like almost like a hedge or an insurance policy against all the crazy stuff that happens. Cause I know, regardless of whatever happens, I'm going to be good. You know what I mean? So,
right. And everybody who's watching, so I will never buy another single family home again.
Yeah.
I'll never buy another single family just for the fact where I don't want to take it to scale.
Yeah.
Right, bro.
It's hard.
You took it to scale and you actually bought enough.
Yeah.
But you didn't take a check for what? 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, dude. I didn't, beyond just paying down some miscellaneous debts, I never paid myself, like never took $1 out of the company in the form of a salary, or never took any money out of my rental properties for almost 4 years. And if you scroll down my like on my Instagram page, you'll see a post where I posted the very first check that we paid ourselves, dude. And that was the very first time where I sat down with my bookkeeper, and she was like, well, there's money left over every month. If you want to start taking some of this money, you don't have to just leave it all in there. And that was a thing that I think I was actually holding myself back, dude, by not treating my business as a business, right? Like a business should be able to pay the owner, right? And I think like I wore it as a badge of honor at the beginning, like I'm just going to reinvest every single dollar like back into the company. And I think there's a time and place for that, right? And I think I probably let that go on a little bit too long because I needed to prove to myself that I had created something that was sustainable, that I could afford to pay myself every single month. And then that happened. And then I found another gear. Like mentally, financially, because I was like, all right, this is real, right? It's not just Jason got lucky a bunch of times, like finding deals. Like I've actually created a sustainable business that can pay me. You know what I mean? And that was that was you have these kind of milestones that you can look back and remember over the course of your journey. And that was definitely one of them for sure.
For me, like building something and then being able to take the cash flow every month.
Yep.
Give me all the, like I can be as risky as I want.
Mm-hmm.
Right. To where, okay, this business may not do as well. Like we may not make as much flips at this month, but I have cash flow coming in no matter what I do.
Yeah.
That gave me confidence to be a lot more riskier, be a lot more aggressive in everything I do.
That, dude, like that kind of stuff charges me up more right now than like making big chunks or big rips of money on projects. Like it's fun to make a 6-figure rip, dude, like on something, right? Like that's cool. And I'm not saying that I don't enjoy that either. I do, but like figuring out, like we're kind of going through that process right now with our Airbnbs, like creating an actual income stream that you can say, when we create this income stream, build the right systems, processes, and put the right people in place where it can operate and pay me consistently and predictably every single month, month in and month out, regardless of whether I'm involved in it or not. I actually get more charged up like thinking about that than I do like, how do I flip a house and make $100,000? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's really what we're focusing on. Like Airbnbs is kind of where we've landed right now. And, along with some of the other bigger deals that we're doing, we're trying to get all that stuff built out. And I'm trying to get to $100,000 a month in cash flow from these other things that aren't flipping and wholesaling.
I think the Airbnb model is the fastest way to do it.
I like it, dude.
Unless you're buying big commercial.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't really like the word realistic, but I think for people that are just starting out, right, and they can't wrap their heads around like taking down 100 or 200 unit apartment or this big commercial building, right? That can be intimidating. And I think just figuring out like all I've got to do is get to 10 houses. Like it's not that hard to get to 10 houses. I can tell you right now, you can do like you can get to 10 houses pretty quickly, right? If you really stick your mind to it, right? And then just building out the systems and processes, that's another task too that you've got to do. But doing that stuff, man, I think is more intriguing to me than like taking down like these monster deals. Like that stuff is fun too. I like doing both. But the money from the big deals should go into the money that pays you, or the vehicles that pay you every single month. I like that.
But I think so. Me and Kyle started somewhat at the same time, and I think Kyle picked a significantly better vehicle.
He did.
The amount of money Kyle makes every month from nothing.
It's good, man.
He doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think Airbnb is the model. If anybody wants to get really started, I think Airbnb is the model. If you want to wholesale, yes, you can make big rips. But then what I see on a consistent basis, number one, it's not consistent. And then all that money, like Jason talked about, goes back into marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you really won't make any money for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't think you made $30,000, but you have to feed that machine.
Yeah, it is, man. The business is just like anything else, and it needs money to survive. Yeah. And if you're not constantly reinvesting money back into it, it's going to either stall out or just die completely, man. And so, yeah, I think Kyle was smart. He was savvy. He was definitely the first guy that I remember out in our market that really was like taking Airbnb seriously, and hats off to him, man. He's really done some amazing things with the community that he's built. And, I think there were people definitely kind of second guessing him, dude. You know what I mean? And it takes some balls like at the beginning to like step into that when you have other people that are like, dude, this market, like Fresno, like who's going to come to Fresno? Like blah, 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 blah. And then now to see, 2-3 years later, more people kind of getting on the bandwagon and doing it, dude. Like, I think it's cool. That kind of stuff is awesome to me, man. So good for him.
All right. We got a couple more. Miguel Sanchez says, what's up, guys?
What up, bro?
What's going on, bro? Someone needs to get approved to the Central California Real Estate Investing Group. We'll take care of that.
I think I have 175 requests on. So I'm sorry, guys. I haven't trained my VA on how to approve everything yet. So I'll get you guys approved on there. We'll get it all cleaned up.
Hell yeah. All right. Yeah. Christian Espinoza, with a small conversation, he took me out of a spot I didn't want to be in and motivated me to keep going. He's the man.
Christian's cool dude, man. I like him, dude. Yeah.
Hell yeah, bro. And then Cletus says, what's up? What's going on, my man?
What's up, bro?
Is that Van Ness flip sold?
They're getting close. I think the house is done and they're dialing in some stuff on the exterior. So yeah, they're getting pretty close.
All right. Let's talk about, bro, what is it? 6% of your deal flow is referrals of you being an amazing human.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to what, like, that starting point, right? When there was not help from a community. It's so funny, dude. Like, you come to a meetup that I have, or Dean's meetup or whatever, and you just see the vibe that's there in the room, bro. Like, where everybody's hugging each other, high-fiving each other, like happy to see each other, like genuinely willing to help other people, right? And, you, me, guys like Dean, like I really felt like we establish that here in this market, dude. And one of the books that is been the one that I've gifted the most, and we did this when I was with Clayson team, was we would gift it to all of our clients, was The Go-Giver, dude. And just living that thought process out from that book and realizing that if you can just learn to give with no strings attached, and you realize that we live in a world where opportunities are abundant, and if you help somebody, they're not taking an opportunity off your plate. It's actually the momentum that you both get actually exponentially get you both closer, propel you both closer to the goals that you're achieving. And it's just been proven to me over and over and over again that that's how the universe works, man. And I don't need any more proof. So I've bought in completely, and then it happens faster, right? It's when you get to that stage, right, where you're not skeptical and you're not like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where, you know, it starts to move slow at the beginning. But yeah, dude, I think for me, you know, and I don't give because I expect people to bring me deals, bro. And I know that you know that, right? Like I don't do the meetups or like answer DMs or give my time to people because I expect them to give me something in return. I genuinely don't care about that, dude, right? Like I genuinely care about how can I help you? You know what I'm saying? And how can we do it in a way where I can provide value to you? And if that leads to another opportunity where our businesses overlap in the future, then great. And if it doesn't, then that's okay too, bro. I'm going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it doesn't matter. You know, I genuinely get a good feeling out of seeing other people be successful. And that's one of the things that I want to really tap into some more with some of the stuff that I'm doing with this new brokerage that I'm at, and just what I've learned over the years, like seeing people that have worked with me or done deals with me, seeing their whole lives change, right? The trajectory of their life and business change, like a Scotty or a Kate or a Bailey or a Joe, or these people that I've worked with, to see them go be successful. Dude, that's such a great feeling, man. And I want to figure out how to do that on a larger scale, how to impact more people, man. You know what I mean?
You want to talk about the real stuff?
Yeah, we could talk about that. I recently moved over to a new brokerage. One of the things that always struck me as interesting when I first got into the business, because I was unlicensed for the first 2 years. I was just doing direct to seller, direct mail marketing, all the stuff that everybody does to do deals. And I never got a deal from agents, but I was always networking with them. And it always struck me as weird that more agents didn't actually invest in real estate, right? And the agents would be asking me, like, how did you do this, bro?
So weird, bro.
It's crazy. And I was like, well, I always felt, because I was still dealing with imposter syndrome back then. I was like, dude, I'm just barely figuring this stuff out, dude. So, you know, I'm not the right guy to ask. And as I started to grow more in my business, it made sense for me to get licensed. I looked at it as another income stream. We wanted to do stuff with creating the team, and I really thought that was going to be the vehicle, like the investing was going to be the vehicle that was going to fuel the team, right? And we built the team like right out of like the Keller Williams playbook. I really feel like that, with like the mega agents on top. You have the agents underneath that are supporting. And for me, this is what I didn't like about the team model. The team model never made sense to me, because me as a team leader, my responsibility is to go out and recruit and find talent. Then I've got to attract that talent to my team. Then I've got to pour into them for 6, 9, 12, 18 months, right? And there's very little financial ROI at the beginning, right? The ROI is totally, the scale is totally screwed up, because I'm pouring into them. And then eventually, like, you know, a year later, they're starting to produce on their own. And those teams, honestly, dude, they don't work unless you're on like a 50-50 split, right?
I mean, and it's not worth it for them.
And I don't even blame them. Like, if I was a self-producing agent and I was like, all right, I can go do this on my own, like, what's the point? Why should I give Jason half of my commission? I know how to do this now, right? And the model, in my eyes, really benefited the broker or the owner, which was fine, right? Because that's how it was set up, right? Because that person flies the nest, and as long as they stay with the brokerage and they're maybe not on my team anymore, they're kicking up to the broker every single transaction, right? But then Jason is on this carousel that he can't get off, because I got to go find another agent, recruit them, train them, and do all that thing over and over.
I don't think it's an actual business model.
And so, so for me, it just didn't work for a number of different reasons, dude. And so I am self-aware and smart enough to know that I do get a lot of engagement from the people that follow me. And I get people that hit me up all the time, and they're like, dude, like, I'm getting ready to get licensed. Like, who should I hang my license with? Yada, yada, yada. And for me, it made sense to transition to a brokerage that was going to reward me financially for growing their company, right? And because their business model, I feel like, is set up in a way where they don't have all of the crazy commercial buildings and leases and staff and all these crazy things that would require you to take more of that money. They can share it and distribute it back to the agents that are growing the company. And that's a model that I could get with and I like, man. And so I liked Real specifically because I felt like it was a newer company. There was an opportunity to get in on the ground floor, their stock options and other different things. And beyond that, it gives me the ability to help people on a larger scale versus just having like one small team and growing out a team to maybe 10 or 20. Like now I can set up a platform that allows me to touch and impact people all over the country. You know what I mean? And so it's exciting, man. We're in the infancy stages for sure. And this is very much an example of me building the airplane while we're in midair, dude. You know what I mean? Flying it, right? And so, like that's one of the things that I'm telling everybody is just continue to be patient with us. We're building the platform out. We're getting all that stuff there. But, it's definitely something that I see is going to have a lot of potential in the future for sure.
I love it. Kathy, who can I reach out to? I just purchased a cabin in Bass Lake. Reach out to Kyle Stanley. Reach out to Kyle, man. He'll take care of you. All right. So master manifester.
Yeah.
The man when it comes to mindset, attracting things, and just overall energy and vibe. I mean, I'm super woo-woo. I know you're pretty woo-woo. Who keeps your vibration really high. When did you start paying attention to that?
It was Alan, dude. Like I had always been into self-improvement at a certain level, right? Like nothing close to what I'm at now. But I would read books. I would read stuff from Tony Robbins. I would read Kiyosaki. Even when I was really young, I was drawn to that type of stuff. I never knew how to actually apply it in my life, right? Yeah. And then like things like The Secret would come out and you would see these things that would like get your mind open to like other ways of thinking, right? But like really when I got around Alan and talking to him, and he was a big Bob Proctor guy.
Bro.
And he would talk about, vibrations and these type of things, right? And I'm like, what does that even mean, bro? Like, I didn't even know. And not even in a weird way. I was just like, can you explain to me what you're talking about, right? And realizing that everything comes back to the way that we think and feel. And our thoughts typically drive our feelings drive our actions. And if we can control those things, then we can control what ends up actually manifesting in what this reality that we're living in, right? And it makes perfect sense to me now. But back then, we're programmed to think just the complete opposite, right? We want to see the result first, right? Like I need to see the money first, then I'll believe that this is real, right? And I'm here to tell you that it does not work like that, dude. And there's a Jim Rohn quote that I hear him say all the time, and and I'll share it with you guys now. He says, some people are interested in the roots and other people are busy picking the fruit, right? So thinking about a tree, right? Some people want to understand why the tree grows the way it grows and does the things that it does. And they're like, diagnosing everything. And other people don't even care. And they're just going and grabbing. And that's me. I realize that things work this way. This is how it's been proven to me. And I don't need to know why, dude. And I don't care why, right? Like there's no way that you can convince me that we could make the leap that we've made in 6.5 years from basically nothing, less than nothing, starting in a humongous hole to being I'm a multimillionaire now, dude. I just bought a freaking like $1 million house, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it just things like that like I wouldn't have thought were possible to accomplish in 6 years, dude. And it's all because I've invested the time in developing a winning mindset and spending the time to do that, dude. And it's not even really that hard to do. You know what I mean? It's just most people are so conditioned to do the opposite. And it's that type of stuff that's really important, man.
And like you're trained not to even think good. It's the weirdest thing. Like you're trained not to think confidently.
Yeah.
Or think that, no, I am going to be there. Like, oh yeah, your head's in the clouds. I mean, you should be like, you should spend active time visualizing, manifesting shit and thinking about it in that way when you keep focusing on it.
Dude, I have conditioned to myself to believe, like, I think most people's natural reaction with anything, especially a new venture in their life, because their self-image is in not a good space. They have very low self-confidence. They're dealing with a lot of fear and hesitation and doubt. They're conditioned to think and feel about a new business venture that it's like, man, with my luck, it's never going to work out. Right.
And you can't ever
and
say that
I have basically conditioned myself to believe that with my luck, this thing is going to work out even better than I would even imagine. Right. And it's so amazing to me that like when you take that kind of thought process and you got to do some work, bro. So like, this isn't me saying that all you do is just sit in your house and, wait for a bag of money to fall through the ceiling. That's not going to happen. Usually, the way that these things manifest are opportunities, right? Like this Pebble Beach deal that we did was an opportunity, right? So we manifested this opportunity, but there was some work that was involved in me getting to the point where we were able to take down this deal, right? And so you've got to be willing and smart enough to see that when that door opens, you've got to actually do the work to walk through it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can't just wait around for something to happen, man. So
if you got an Alan, thank you again from me and Jason.
Yeah, for sure, man. Alan's the man, dude. I was just messaging him the other day, actually, man. He's a cool dude.
Right. But if books, Bob Proctor's You Were Born Rich on Audible is a life-changing book. Think and Grow Rich. And then have you read Joe Dispenza yet?
Yes, I've read Becoming Supernatural.
Yeah.
And I listened to a ton of his audio on YouTube. Yeah. I think he breaks down like manifestation in a way that to me like blends both like kind of like the science side, because I think sometimes people are turned off by the woo-woo side, right? Like the, oh, you know, like I'm just going to manifest whatever. And I think with him, what I like is that he really talks about like what's happening in your brain and in your heart and just like the science behind how that works, right? And how to actually like put yourself in that space and the cues that you should be giving yourself to do that. So I really, really like the way that Dispenza breaks it down on the different interviews and podcasts and at that type of content. It's really, really good, dude.
Yeah, his stuff I think is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, who do we got? Michael says you're in a seat, bro.
Who's that, Butler?
Yeah, Butler?
I thought you were going to be here, bro. I thought it was going to be the three of us, man.
No, not this one. This one's my solo one. We'll do another one if you want.
It's all good.
And then Ronald A. Call says 2 strong loans. Thank you, bro. Let's talk about making that deal happen. And then I want to talk about number one, you brought in multiple partners, but you won't have to do anything and you'll still make money.
Yeah.
And it just will run. And then at the end of the time, like, hey, here's some more money.
Yeah.
But you set it up the right way and then you weren't selfish about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, this business I've really been able to get to where I'm at today because of the relationships I've had, right? Some of it is the experience, like a guy like Alan, like we eventually did some deals together and we did some business together, but I learned a ton from him, right? But there's other avenues and relationships that we have where, you know, I feel like you want to try to bring value to people by bringing them something that's financially viable and money, because I do feel like that just lays the groundwork and the foundation for bigger and better things, right? Yeah. And so with us, we were just in a position with this deal where for a lot of different reasons, I didn't want to take the deal down ourselves, right? I think it was a perfect type of deal where we could mitigate some of our risk, both financially and with the project, by bringing in some strategic partners. And so that's what we did with this one. So we brought in a funding partner to deal with the money. We brought in a construction partner, my buddy Ryan, who I've been working with out on the Central Coast. And I felt like, not reward is not the right word, but I wanted to almost kind of like give him a payback, because a lot of the deals that him and I have done together, he's done most of the heavy lifting. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, this was my way of reciprocating that back to him, right? And showing him like, hey, dude, I'm a valuable business partner too, right? And, you know, I think for us, we structured it in a way where we brought the deal to the table. Ryan brings the construction know-how because he knows how to do higher end houses. He's already positioned to do that stuff out in that area anyways. And our funding partners had the money. And so we just did it in a way where it made sense for everybody. That to me is the perfect type of partnership, because everybody brings a crucial piece. There isn't a lot of overlap with what everybody's good at, right? And I think the partnerships that I've gotten into where they always haven't worked out, or the deals that we've done,
overlap. Everybody
is good at the same thing, right? And then the things that need to get done that we're either not good at or we don't want to do, nobody wants to do those things. And this is an example of everybody has their specific lane. Everybody knows the role that they're playing. Now we've just got to go perform and execute. And, you know, we were chatting about this before we started, dude, but like that deal was a perfect example of how I believe that you manifest those kind of opportunities in real life, man. Because, you know, all the things that led up to that, we had a bunch of time and money leading into last Friday invested into that deal just to get us there, right? So we had a big output of cash and time just to get us to that point. But then it was like, now, you know, we've got the check. You did all the work here to get the check, but now the only way that you're going to get down there is by a private plane, because you don't have any other way to get there in time, right? So are you willing to write an $8,000 check to submit a bid on a property that you don't even know that you're going to get? You know what I mean? And so you have to go into that with a lot of confidence. And, you know, we weren't going to get that far to let, you know, $8,000 get on our way, but, you know, you've got to you've got to have a lot of confidence and a lot of belief in your ability to perform and do those things in order to be in that position and then go do it and pull the trigger, man.
But even if it didn't go through, it wouldn't even fucking.
It wouldn't have mattered. I don't care, bro,
wouldn't
because for me, the most important thing was I had what it took to get there. The hard part was getting there. You know what I'm saying? Like I became somewhat of a different version of Jason by getting to the point where I could raise $2.3 million in cash in basically 5 days. Do you know what I mean?
Could have done it faster too, honestly.
Yeah, like we could have, right? And so it was from the time that we really said we're going to make a move on this to the time that we had the check. I think it was like 5.5 or 6 days. And like to be able to do that and then get to that position, then like do everything with the plane, get out there, like the work had already been done. So whatever the outcome was with whether or not we were going to win the property, like I really did not care, bro. Like for me, I knew that I had what it took to get there. And that means I can get there again. And that's what's important, right? The outcome was not really the important thing. Now, obviously I was expecting to get the house and we did, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world if we didn't, dude, because I knew that, all right, I just got to do this again when the opportunity's right. You know what I mean? And I've conditioned myself and I've seen that when things don't happen the way that I expect them to happen, that it's proven to me later on down the road why, right? Like if a deal didn't close that I wanted to get, right? Or when something happened and I was expecting it to be like this, but it didn't go that way, it's always proven to me later on that here's the reason why you didn't get this deal. You know what I'm saying? Because it tied up these resources and these opportunities and you needed them to do this bigger deal that was right around the corner. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you have that happen enough. And if you're smart enough to like recognize those signs that are coming to you and realizing like what that actually is, you know, then it's okay to, you know, live with the way that things happen like that, man. So yeah, dude, it's been that type of stuff, bro. I spend more time doing that than I do like real estate. You know what I'm saying? Most
important shit.
It is, dude. It's more important than anything. Like, and people are constantly like, and I get it because I was the same way too. Like, what lists do you market to, and what, like, you know, like what do I say when I go like whatever? What formula do you use to run your numbers or whatever? You know what I mean? And like that stuff will happen, and you'll get good at that just by showing up and doing the work you're supposed to do every day.
Developing the skill just to fucking do it.
If you can show up and work every day, you'll get good at that. That's the easy part. The hard part is, how do you show up every day when you don't feel like showing up? When you got in a fight with your wife or your kid did something crazy at school and you plan to have your day work a certain way, but then it got derailed immediately from the beginning. Can you put your blinders on and still show up and perform? Because it's easy to perform when everything's going good. When your life is like totally happening the way that you want it, it's fine to show up, dude. But can you show up when it feels like the wheels are about to fall off, dude? And I feel that is one of the biggest differentiating factors between people that I have found to be like high achievers and very successful, is that they can just show up no matter what. And they've trained themselves to not let the things that are happening outside of their control negatively impact them and derail them.
Right. You just go.
You go. And
have you ever run into self-sabotage? I was talking to someone today and they're like, man, I keep going up, and then something just keeps bringing me down. I was like, honestly, if this is a common occurrence, I think you're sabotaging yourself.
I think we all do. I think we all do. Whether we all recognize that we're actually sabotaging ourselves or not is another thing, right? But I think when you become self-aware and you really kind of go down this journey of learning how, you know, these things really work in life, dude, you realize you're 100% responsible for all the outcomes that are happening in your life, right? And that's a very, very powerful thing. And it can be a tough pill to swallow at the beginning, especially if your life is not working out the way that you want it to work out, right? So for you to turn and look in that mirror and be like, well, I'm fucking up and it's my fault. You know what I mean? And things are not working the way that I want them to do. And it's 100% on me. That you have to be able to have that moment, because then very next after that, you can say, the good news is I'm in control of how to change these things, right? It's not the market. It's not these other investors that beat me out. It's not the contractor that screwed me over. It's not the blah, 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 blah. It's 100% on me. And when you really start taking responsibility like that, things will start moving very quickly for you, right? And if you can combine that with just thinking and feeling and in a way that propel you closer to your goals and not doing anything else, being 100% focused on what you're doing and your thoughts or feelings are aligned 100% with that. like the leap that we've made even in the last 24 months, dude, is 10x what I did in years 1 through 4, dude. You know what I'm saying?
And it'll be like that every year.
Yes, exactly.
Like every year.
And that's that's even crazier. Like my wife and I walk around in our house and I'm like, can you even fucking believe that we're in this house? Like it's hard for me to believe that sometimes, right? Like not hard for me to believe it, but just Jennifer knows better than anybody else, like what we've overcome to get here. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's one thing for you, even you and I, to be talking about this, but like Jen and my parents and my kids, like they knew all the stuff that we had to overcome to get here.
Oh yeah.
And I don't even know how you can chalk it up to anything else, dude. You know what I mean? Like it's not, you know, like this is just how it works, dude. And so when you really buy into that, and then you can get your spouse to buy into that, right? Because your significant other plays a huge role, and you've got to get them on the same wavelenght that you're vibrating at. And when that happens,
that's the hardest thing.
It's very hard, dude. And Alan and Jennifer were always very good at that. Alan and him and his wife were always very good at that, man. And I always admired them because of that, because I always felt like when I talked to them, they were 100% exactly on the same page. They were wired.
They grew at the same rate.
Exactly, dude. And it wasn't like, you know, sometimes you'll see it in a marriage where one person takes off and they just go on this other trajectory and the other person stays the same, right? And they don't grow with that other person. And I feel like for a while in our relationship, it was the opposite. Jennifer kind of actually outpaced me and was carrying me for a little while with some of the stuff I was dealing with. And then when I found my stride in real estate, I just made like this huge quantum leap. And to her credit, she recognized that like in order for me to be happy in our marriage, like she was going to have to subscribe to some of these kind of thought process and ideas, bro. Because like for me, I was just like, this is it. Like, this is what our new life is going to be, you know? And to her credit, she didn't just make the change because she saw it happening. Right. And I proved the concept enough for her to start buying in. And then she kind of went down that journey too. And that's another thing that I credit, you know, our growth to, is that like over the last few years, we've really kind of gotten aligned with the way that we think and believe. And it's just like, when you can get there with your spouse, dude, it's like rocket fuel on everything that you've got going on, dude.
And I never want to outgrow my wife.
No, me neither.
That's my biggest fear. I never want to ever outgrow Kalani.
Yeah.
And so did you do anything to bring her on board besides showing her? Like, were you exposing her to stuff?
It's tough, dude, because I'm not an easy person to be married to, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm wired like I'm not normal, dude. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a normal person. And so for me, I have a very high standard and I'm on all the time, right? Like I don't just because I can't go and be gone from 8 to 7, right? Like walk through my front door and then immediately shut off and everything's on. So sometimes I've had to learn how to just like not be like entrepreneur Jason and just calm down, dude, and just be like, listen, we're married. I don't want to talk about business right now. Like, let's just talk about our lives right now, right? And I think that's why the travel has always been important for us, because that has been like our space where both of us can completely just focus on each other, right? And that's why we've made travel such a priority in our lives. And this summer, especially, we're gone for like half the summer. And must so like, nice. Yeah, dude, it is very nice. And so it's like learning what are those things in your relationship where they put you in that frame of mind, investing in that type of stuff, right? And looking at it as an investment, not an actual expense and just like a whatever. And, you know, really making an effort and talking about it, dude. And it's not easy, dude. Like we have, you know, fights and arguments just like anybody else, but I would say, she would say the same thing. Like I've never been happier with anything in my life right now, my marriage, my business, my relationship with my kids. I've never been happier than I am right now in this moment, dude. Like everything feels like it's just hitting on all cylinders, and it's just an amazing feeling, dude. And it would be something that I wish everybody could tap into that, dude, because I can remember what it was like not to be feeling like that, dude. And that's a miserable way to live life. You know what I mean? And so if I can help people, you know, get a little piece of that in their lives, dude, that would make me happy, man.
Hell yeah. All right. Yeah. Number one, I got a couple things I want to talk from that. So being in those environments, you always lock up a deal when you travel because you're in an environment that breeds success, happiness, all of that shit. And I think it's something that nobody really understands.
They talk about it as like being in a flow state, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that I've realized is that we've grown so much the last couple of years, and it actually feels like I'm working less, if that makes sense, right? Like it feels like I'm not forcing it, right? Like at the beginning, it was almost just like out of my own sheer will. Like, I don't care. Like, this is happening no matter what. Right.
But that's what it takes.
That's one way to do it. And you can do it that way. Right. Like, you can just will it into existence. And I've done that. Right. But I have found that what is better for me is like just being in a space where everything is in total alignment and those opportunities just come to me. You know what I mean? And, yeah, literally every single time we go somewhere, we always put a property under contract, like 100% of the time, dude, 100%. And it's because I've completely just let go and released of all anxiety and everything else. And we're in a good space. And so then the game then becomes, how do I recreate that when I'm not traveling? How do I recreate that feeling so that way I can be like that all the time, right? And constantly auditing the way that I'm thinking and feeling. So then that way, that is what is kind of like the GPS. You've got to have your business in order and you've got to have structure. You got to have all those things, right? I'm not saying you can do it without that stuff.
I still think that shit's the easy part.
Yes, dude. But it's what we're talking about, I feel like, is what most people struggle with, whether they realize they're struggling with it or not. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's learning how to do it in a way where those opportunities just come to you.
And then have you ever ran into a spot where you did self-sabotage yourself? Like, and you actively know, like, geez.
I catch myself, I feel like, manifesting negative things. It was funny, like you messaged me about the bank earlier today because I had a little issue at my bank that I was in. And it was funny. I was so negative walking into that bank because of the last 5 experience. I did, bro. Like, I really genuinely believe that. I believe that I went, like, from my house, I was reliving
already
the last 5 times I had been in that branch and something had gone wrong. And my mind was just expecting. And what do you think happened, dude? You know what I'm saying? And so this works both ways, dude. And so, like, that's a kind of a funny example of seeing it happen on a small scale. But I think what most people don't understand is all of the negative self-talk that you're dealing with, especially at the beginning. And it's that doubt and that fear. And there's really 2 books that I think opened my eyes to this that I read when I was like early on in this process. One of them was Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Bro, amazing book.
It's a really good book. And I love Think and Grow Rich, and I like this book a lot too. And there's a section in there where the premise of the book is Napoleon Hill's interviewing the devil, and the devil is basically giving him the secrets behind how he controls people, right?
And it 100% makes sense.
And it does. And all of it, if you really, you know, regardless of whether you're religious or not, if you can really like just read what they're saying in that book and learn to apply that in your life, you'll see that it makes 100% sense. And there's a chapter where he talks about the use of fear and how the devil uses fear to keep people stuck and scared and complacent and kind of in this space where they're not willing to like push themselves outside of their comfort zone, right? And for whatever reason, that really resonated with me. And I started thinking back on all of the moments and instances in my business where I was scared of something happening. And a lot of times it had to do with deals, right? Like, are we going to sell this deal? Is it going to fall in? Is it going to fall out? Is something going to happen? What's going to blah, blah, blah. And you think back and 99% of that stuff never happened. Like, literally,
you put yourself through fucking torture for no reason.
It is, dude. And I was a really bad worrier, dude. Like, I would literally keep myself up with anxiety, dude. Like, I remember some of the first houses that we bought, I genuinely thought like, maybe there's a possibility that I couldn't sell these houses and I would be stuck with them, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, what happens now? This is the 3rd flip. We're never going to sell it. Like, I'm going to bankrupt my family. Like, this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, you literally manufacture all of these fake hypothetical scenarios that are all negative. Yep. And then it creates that feeling of it actually happening, even though it's not. And then you find yourself in this cycle, right? And you're vibrating at a very low level, dude. And I learned to, just through the course of trial and error, and I wish it was something beyond that, but you know, it takes time. Like, it took time for me to realize, like, why am I putting myself through this? It's never going to happen. And then constantly, when that moment of fear or hesitation would creep in, learning to just stop myself and say, like, why are you feeling this way? You know, you've got all of this proof that actually the outcome is going to work out exactly the way that you wanted to. Why don't we tap into that? Why don't we start there? And then if it does end up happening something bad, we'll fix it because you fixed every other, you know, kind of misstep that's happened along the way. So why would you think you wouldn't be able to fix this? And you eventually tell yourself that enough, you start to believe it, then you start living it, and then it starts happening in real life, right? And that's a really good one. The other book was called Psycho-Cybernetics. And that one talks about the self-image, and why most people talking about self-sabotage, they don't have a positive self-image of themselves.
Exactly.
They don't believe that they're the kind of person that's capable of doing the things that you and I are doing, right? And I struggled with that a lot. I was just like, this isn't for me. You know what I mean? Like, it may be for
you don't deserve
so-and-so, but like, I don't deserve it, or I was taught to feel a certain way about money by a teacher, or like my parents, or I got it from my environment when I was young. And we just haven't realized that that's just a story that we've decided to tell ourselves, and we have the power to tell ourselves a different story. And as soon as you start telling yourself a story that propels you closer to where you want to go, watch what's going to happen, dude. And, I'm living proof. You're living proof. Like a lot of the people that we surround ourselves with subscribe to the same idea, right? And I think people need to start listening to people, especially if you're starting out and you're struggling with this. You got to be listening to people and taking advice from people that are actually doing what you want to do, right? And that was one thing that I was always good at. Like, if a guy like Alan or somebody else that I looked up to at the beginning said, okay, do this,
just do it.
I didn't like try to put Jason's own little spin on it. You know what I mean? I didn't try to say like, well, this guy's super successful, I haven't really done anything. And, maybe he said to do it this way, but maybe I'm just going to try my own way. You know what I mean? And I think most people just can't follow direction, dude. And I see that a lot, right? Like, I see people that come to me and they're like, hey, I want to pick your brain about such and such thing. And I'm like, do this, this, and this, right? And then next time we call, let's discuss those things, right? And then they'll call me up 60 days later.
Did you do it? And
nobody does. Like, the tasks that I gave them, they won't do them. And then they wonder why, you get frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I'm giving you the roadmap, dude. You just have to go out there and execute.
Here's the roadmap to make all the money.
Yep. This is it.
This is it. Just do it. And
just follow it.
So everybody gets stuck in analysis paralysis for some reason. Then you think paying for mentorship is going to change your life, but odds are there's someone in your community who's going to give you the exact same advice.
Sure. I agree.
But just because you put money into it, then you're like, oh, well, I guess they're right.
I think it's a double-edged sword. I feel like
Hey, Cam.
I held myself back a little bit by waiting to pay for coaching. Because
Bro, you got so far without it though.
So that was the thing. So my start, I didn't have the money to pay for coaching or for mastermind. So I literally was forced to just learn this stuff by listening to podcasts and networking and watching YouTube. Right. And even now, the information that you need is very accessible and all readily available on the internet to get started. Literally everything step by step. There's a tutorial on YouTube. Right. So I had kind of convinced myself that it's like, well, I figured it all out. Like, I can figure this out. And what I wasn't accounting for was the speed. You're paying for speed. That's what I've learned, right? When you get to a space where you're becoming successful, one of the things that I started to do differently was learning how to evaluate my time differently than when I did it before, right? Like, before I would do everything, dude. I was sending the mail, and I was going on appointments, and I was making all the calls. Then I was going and meeting all the contractors. I was signing the leases with all the tenants. I was selling all the properties, right? And it's just not a scalable way to run and operate a business, right? And when I started getting around other people that were levels and levels ahead of me, right? They just valued their time differently. And that's another thing that I think people have a problem doing. Like, the reason why you're not making more money is because you're doing things that are very a low-level task, dude. And what signal are you sending out to the universe, right? You're sending out this signal that my time is worth this. You know what I mean? Like, my time is worth me sitting at my kitchen table, handwriting all the letters, doing the list, going on Radar, doing all this stuff. And then you wonder why the result is not me making 6 or 7 figures. You know what I'm saying? Like, right? And so it all starts with us internally first. That's got to be, like, if you guys are going to take anything away from what we're talking about today, like, if you got to figure out that it starts with us first. And so if you start believing in yourself and your ability to be a 6 and 7 or an 8-figure earner, right? And then you start acting the way that they do, then the results will eventually happen, right? And you've got to believe in yourself enough that, it's going to happen at some point. I can't guarantee you when, but I know that it's inevitable. If you follow the roadmap, it will happen at some point.
100%. Yep. Cam says hi. Hey, Cam. Hey,
what's
Joe
up, Cam?
Garza. My fear: what happens if I lose everything due to a bad decision? So my personal opinion on that.
Yeah.
I will never lose the skill set that I have. I can lose everything and I will get back to it like that.
That's a great answer, dude. That's it. And so if everything went to zero tomorrow, literally, bro, like if I woke up and everything just went completely to zero, I am so confident in my ability to go out and perform, that I would be able to get to where we're at in like half the time, dude, because I've already figured out the hard part. The hard part is to get to where we're at now. So, and dude, and when you've overcome very hard things in your life, dude, it gives you a lot of perspective on what's important and what's not important, bro. And you and I have talked openly about some of the things that I've struggled with to get here. Like nothing for me will ever be harder than that.
No, bro.
And so whatever happens now is just like, this is just money, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just go make some more money, you know? So for me, it's not about like, I'm not going to be distraught if like something happened with the real estate market or this, whatever. And I don't worry about things like that because I know that I can just go do it again if I need to. You know what I mean? You've gained that knowledge and that experience, and nobody can ever take that stuff away from you. Right. And so, and speaking from somebody who, I don't know who asked that question, but speaking from somebody that used to struggle with those same types of thoughts and things, take it from me, dude. I've gone through all of these risky decisions, dude, right? Like I put up everything on the line. We put up a lot, dude. Like a lot of what we've got and what we've worked for, we put on the line for this Pebble Beach deal. You know what I'm saying? Because we had to secure it against a lot of the stuff that we already own now. You know what I mean? And so I'm doing it from a place of 100% confidence and certainty because I know that the only outcome that's happening in my mind now is that we're just going to knock the cover off the ball on this deal. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to sell it for even more than what I'm expecting, dude. You know what I mean? And so like, you've got to start training your mind to think that way, right? Every time that fear pops up, you got to stop it. You got to audit it, right? Like DM, I always hear him talking about the thought audit, dude. And
it's an amazing thing.
You've got to be auditing your thoughts all the time and taking time to stop and say like, why did I even think that? What would ever lead me to believe something as silly as if I make one bad decision, I'm going to lose everything? Like when you really step back and you think about it, it's almost sounds ridiculous because it could like, unless you're being like completely, absolutely reckless and just completely out of your mind, like that's just not going to happen, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like it just isn't. Right. And so when you start thinking about it like that, you're like, well, maybe I should really think like this. Maybe I should take control of this and point my thoughts in the direction of where I actually want to go.
Hell yeah. All right. For me,
investing
in yourself just puts more faith in yourself and you show yourself that you're worth it.
100%.
You show yourself. So when everybody's like, oh, should I join masterminds, everything else? We've spent over $100,000 on ourselves. Yep. And you deserve $100,000 to spend on you.
100%.
And it changes that mindset, at least for me.
It does. And I saw this for whatever reason really click with me. And it was a Grant Cardone video that was just recently on his feed. And he said 99% of the people out there spend more every month on their car payment than they do investing in their own personal self-development. And I was like, damn, dude, that's true.
A real thing.
That not only is that true, but that also is a really scary thought to think about. Like we are like us, our mind, body, like not just mentally, financially, our health, everything, right? Like this is the vehicle that's going to get us to wherever it is that we want to go. And if we're not investing into the way that we think, into building better financial habits, into our health and like our longevity and feeling good, dude, right? Yeah. Like none of this other stuff is going to work, dude. And being around other high performing people, like we both know Joe Martin, right? And Joe is part of GoBundance.
Bro, Joe is amazing.
Joe's amazing, dude. And one of the things that they talk about, I'm not a member of GoBundance, but he shared some of the things that they've talked about is like everything is on a wheel. And each one of these things that we measure in our life is a spoke in the wheel, right? So your personal finances, your business, your relationship with your wife, your kids, your health, there's all these different spokes, right? And even if like 6 out of 8 of those spokes you're crushing, right? And they're fully grown and like you're just killing it. The other 2, if they're down, what's going to happen when that wheel gets to that point, right? And it's learning how to really prioritize the things that are important, right? And not just being about money, not just being about how many deals can I do and how many rentals can I have, but really figuring out what's important to Stratton, what's important to Jason, what are the things that really, truly matter, investing back into those things, right? And then waiting for that to positively impact the outcomes that we're looking for in our lives, man. And so, yes, you have to be, even at the beginning, if you're just getting started, it makes absolutely no sense for you to be spending more on your car than you do on yourself. Your car payments, $500, $600, $700, $1,000. You should be matching that at least, dude.
Bro, imagine if you did that at the beginning,
dude. Imagine what would happen, and actually do the work.
I've never even thought about that.
Apply it, dude. Right, and think about it as like this is an investment in me, right? Like my for me, dude, it's all this stuff. It's my cryo, my gym membership, my personal training, the massage, all this stuff, dude, right? For me to be looking, feeling the best, all that stuff is an investment in me beyond the masterminds and the coaching and the travel with the wife. All of that stuff is stuff that we pour into ourselves. And you look at the peak performers in anything, right? We'll just use sports as an example right now. But you hear these stories about guys like Russell Wilson and LeBron spending $1 million a year, like on their chef or on their freaking like yoga coach or something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just the people that help them in these one little areas, how much money that they put back into that stuff. And just because they have money isn't an excuse. It's all relative, right? So they have the money to spend $1 million on a chef, but you can take a little bit of money and spend on a healthy meal versus eating fast food, right? If you're willing to spend money on Netflix, you've got to be willing to put that money back in yourself.
Yeah, I'd go find some other little mastermind. That car thing blows me away. Like, what are people really spending their money on? If you guys are doing that, fuck, I'd sell my car, dude. Yeah. You got to start pouring into yourself first. It's the best investment you can make. All right, what else? Investing in yourself, being that environment, self-sabotage. Oh, bro, let's talk about flying private. Now that we're still talking about vibes. Yeah. For me, again, it puts me in a great vibration. Like, bro, I'm here. I'm manifesting it. I bought back so much time. What was it like for you? Like when you actually did it? Because you talked about, bro, I got on the plane, I took an Uber, I left, I came back, text the pilot, hey, I'm ready to go. And then you get back on the plane, you leave. One of the things that I've learned about myself, and I've learned this through traveling, right, has been I have no problem spending money staying at very nice places. I enjoy the best of the best service, right? Like when we went to Maldives, it was a very eye-opening thing because it was the nicest hotel that we've ever stayed at, right? And the service was just like something I'd never experienced before. You've got a butler on call 24/7. Like if you want a private dinner on the beach at 11 o'clock at night, you send one text message and they're like, what do you want, Mr. Pritchard? We'll have it ready for you. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that was amazing to me, right? And so I've learned that I'm okay spending some money doing that, right? And the trick is, and not even really the trick, but for me, the key is doing it in a way that's financially responsible. Like if you're not in a position to spend the money on that, you can't force yourself to do that, right? You can't just go swipe a credit card and put yourself in debt to go do something like that. I believe that if you do that and it creates like this financial worry and stress, you're actually going backwards, right? But if you're doing it in a way where like with this plane, right? Like we were basically in a position that if I did not book this private plane to get down to San Diego by the cutoff on when the trustee sale bid was due, we would have, like, all of that work would have been for naught. So I had to pay $8,000 with no guarantee that we were going to do this. But just like you said, as soon as I pulled up to that private airport and as soon as like I got on the plane the first time, I was like, damn, dude, I could get used to this, bro. This is nice. Like just the level of service was nice. Like it was just amazing, dude. Like it was like nothing that I ever experienced before. And then what happens, and this is what I've experienced, was now I'm just flying first class, right? And you create like this new normal, right? Like in my he calls it a financial thermostat. That goes into the fucking sabotage thing too, dude, right? So like you have this thermostat, right? And we all have this kind of thermostat, right? And my thermostat was kind of set at first class, right? For on just a commercial plane, because now I don't want to walk past those first class seats to go back to coach after I've flown first class a bunch of times, right? That doesn't feel good anymore. So for me, like now I know I'm just going to spend the money to do that, right? Now going private, it's that times 10, because it's like, geez, like you said, like when I went and we landed, the pilot gave me his card. I caught an Uber to go drop my paperwork off, and the office was like 10 minutes away. So the pilot was like, just text me when you're on the way back. We'll have everything ready for you. So I went and dropped the paperwork off to put the bid in for the property. We come back. I shoot him a text. He's like, all right, we'll be waiting. I literally pull up in the Uber. I walk into the airport. Pilot's standing right there. He's all, you ready to go? I said, yeah, we're ready to go. I literally didn't even sit down. We walk out. 5 minutes later, we're in the air, dude. I mean, it was like nothing that I've ever experienced before in my life, dude. And I was like, dude, I got to do more of this, man. And it does. It feels good. It feels like those moments to me are things that make me feel like all of this work is worth it, right? And you got to find out how to reward yourself in a way that is impactful for you as an individual. You know, you're the one who taught me this. Yes. Like, bro, Strat, if you want a nice car and it makes you feel good, you can fucking afford it. Yep. Just get the car. Yeah. Just get the car. You'll operate in a better vibration anyways. Don't put yourself in a shitty situation, but reward yourself. Yeah. Put yourself in that vibration. You're good to go. Yeah. And I don't recommend that for just anybody, but if you're in a space where you understand what it is that we're talking about and
You've put in the work. You've become financially successful. You can do it financially without it impacting you at all in a negative way, right? 100%. I think it's important to do that, because every time that I've done that, and that check that we were talking about at the beginning, when I paid myself that first $4,000 check, that was the first time that I ever experienced that feeling where it was like, man, dude, I'm worth it. I'm worth $4,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? It's funny to say that now, but like I was really telling myself before that I wasn't even worth paying myself $4,000 a month after I had accumulated 50 rentals and done all this work and never flipped 100 something houses and never taken $1 out of the company in the form of like a paycheck. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you have these shifts along the way, and that's definitely been one of them, man.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. I have a couple more.
True.
Flying private, real. Oh, Pebble Beach. Where you started, bro? I think we've covered it all. What's your overall goal, dude?
The thing that really drives me is while Jason is here on this earth, I want to unlock my full potential. Like, what does my full potential on this earth look like if I operate with no brakes, no limits, none of the negative beliefs and limiting beliefs that we struggle with, right? Like what level can we reach, right? For me, I get a big charge out of real estate. I really like real estate. I like really nice houses, right? And like the houses I like are like 10, 20, 30 million. That's the stuff I watch on YouTube, right? And so I'm always thinking, what kind of person does Jason need to be to buy a $30 million house and not even have that be my regular house, bro? Like, how does that just be one of the houses that I own, right? And I know that it's already been done because people are already doing it, right? Like I'm watching somebody on YouTube doing this right now. So one of the things I've always taken away from my interactions with other successful people has been never taking anything away from like their success, but always walking away with the feeling of, well, dude, if this person can do it, I know I can do it, right? So now what do I need to do to become the kind of person that can operate at that level, right? How do I have to grow as a person? How does my business have to grow? And now I'm at the point now where it's not just about growing me, it's about growing the people that are around me. You can't, like, I've capped out like my ability to perform and like on my own, you know, I don't want to say capped out, but like for me, I feel like
you can't reach what you want.
Yes, I can. Yes, that's a better way to put it, right? And so for me, it's really figuring out how to take the skill sets and the talents and the things that I have, like downloading them into somebody else, getting it to stick. And then how do you get them to take that and then like pass it to somebody else, right? Because then that is what I feel like will then create like this exponential growth that I think I'm looking for, man. And so I think it's, we've got a lot of cool stuff in the works right now that I think will get us there, man. But I think that's the big thing that charges me up, is saying, dude, like there's all this cool stuff. Like I've barely scratched the surface on what's possible. Like I'm happy about this deal, but like to me, like even now, I feel like it's just another deal now, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like we did it. Now we're here, right? And now what's next? You know? Oh, yeah. And then it's thinking about and it's constant, like the progression and what's next, man.
So a quote I heard the other day on a podcast, like the scalability of your company is derived in how fast knowledge can be transferred.
Interesting. That's good.
Because it's 100% right.
Yeah.
And I've run into it myself.
Yep.
And then how are you teaching your son these thought processes?
It's that's a really good question, man. I think with me, my son's older, so my boys are.
So it's even harder, bro.
It's way harder, dude. And so, I have no regrets in this life. I had my son when I was really young. He's going to be 21 next month, and the youngest is going to be 19 very soon after that. So our kids are in a different space. It's not like they're 3 or 4 where they're ripe to be programmed, right? Where they're literally, I could just brainwash them for success at that point, right? And so for me, I always think back to how I was when I was 20, 21, right? And I wanted like space then, right? So I'm really trying to be there to support my son in just all the things that he wants to do. He's like, one of his things that he said is him and his buddies, like he's really into basketball and he's wanted to do like a podcast about sports because that's what he watches, like guys talking about basketball. And I said, Jason, I will literally bankroll everything that you need to do it, right? Not for anything beyond just, I want to show you that the world around us is changing so fast, and you can take this thing that you have like think of as like more of like a hobby and just something that you really like doing, and figuring out a way to do it and actually get paid for it. And then this can be your life, dude. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to watch other people do it. Like you can do it.
Yep.
And I think that's what I'm trying to show him now. Like I text him yesterday and I said, hey, dude, I wanted to share this win with you. I flew on a private plane for the first time on Friday. I showed him a picture of the check that we took down there. And I showed him a video of me on the plane. And I said, we found out today that we won it, man. And I just want you to know that I love you and I'm here to support you doing whatever you want. And he was like, fuck yeah, dad. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome, dude. Like, that's so cool, yada, yada, yada. And so for me, it's leading by example, letting him absorb what he wants to absorb, because now I've tried to force him. Like, I spent a long time trying to be like, this is what you're going to do, like, yada, yada. And it just doesn't work, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's learning how to find that dynamic where him and I can be father, son first. And hopefully he'll see like just me being so happy and me doing the things that I want. And then him wanting to figure out because I feel like most people
want it. They want to
feel like that. And they just don't understand, how do I get there? You know what I'm saying? And they don't understand, or they don't get the support from their family or their friends, especially at the beginning, because we're so conditioned to say, just go to school, dude, go to school. Like, do that and then get a job. And then once you get a job, then maybe try this on the side. Right. And I'm basically wanting to give him like a green light to let's just do all of this right now. When you're ready, I'll be here 100% to support you doing that, man. So I think he's got to kind of live his life and understand what it is to go out and live on his own for a little bit. He's in that stage, man. So yeah, no, dude, I think with both the boys, man, we just try to love on them and show them and be supportive as when they bring up an idea. I don't think parents understand how negatively impactful it is when a kid brings something to you and you kind of poo-poo on the idea a little bit, right? And you're like, nah, dude, even if you don't do it in a way, right? Like in a negative way, how much that sits with the kid, bro. And, you know, I fell victim to that a lot of times. I was like, no, dude, don't do that. Do something. You know what I mean? Because that's how I was programmed, right? And so I'm just trying to show him that, you know, both of them, that,
amazing.
That it's, you know, you can do whatever you want and we're here to support you when you want to do it.
That's an amazing takeaway. All right. One more. Which one's more exciting, the nonprofit or the homeless housing stuff?
Both of them are really cool. I think what I've learned in this business, and I guess just business in general, is where you will make money is by solving problems. And the bigger problem that you can solve, the more, I guess, financial opportunity is there, right? And that's just how it is, right? And both of these things, right? Like the homeless population, especially in California, it's an issue. You know what I'm saying? And it's an issue that more and more people, it's starting to just become like, you know, just a problem. It's as bad as I've ever seen it here in Fresno. And affordable housing is also a big issue too. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, like people that are from Fresno, I wasn't born here, but I've been out here since I was 5 years old. You know what I mean? So I consider Fresno like my hometown. If you're from here and you're going to start getting squeezed out of this community
really fast.
Yeah. And it's I see both sides of the argument. Part of me, the entrepreneur in me just says like, listen, man, like this is just the way things are. This is the natural evolution of life. And it's on you to figure out how to adapt and change. You can't just stay in the same place. You can't just say, I'm from here, so I deserve to just, have
people aren't like us though.
Yeah. Right. And so I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but I do think that there is a way to develop affordable housing in a way that can be impactful and give back to the community and be financially viable and kind of fit all of those things. So I like doing both of them, man. There isn't one to me that stands out more than the other. The homeless thing with the motel that we're doing is definitely more of a challenge right now because it's just, it's the type of project that we've never done before, man. We've talked about this, like you can flip and wholesale houses and nobody really kind of needs to know who you are. You know what I mean? Like you can do our niche of this business and you can operate and almost fly under the radar without, anybody knowing you. But as soon as you break into maybe even just the little small motel that we're doing, right? Like you've got to be plugged in with the right people. You've got to know, who then becomes very important, right? Because if the right people are not getting on board with your project, you don't have a project. You know what I'm saying? So it's been interesting learning how to navigate that and growing into the kind of person that can then do some of these larger deals that, some of our mutual friends are doing, right? What that are like, I look at it and I'm like, damn, dude, you guys are crushing, dude. Like, how do I do this? Right. And it's this motel conversion is our kind of foray into that next level, right? It's the bridge and the launching pad that's going to let us kind of make that leap, right? So we're taking our lumps and doing it, dude. But just like anything else, bro, like I I don't know necessarily like what the next step is, but I know that I'm smart enough to figure it out when I get there, dude. So we're going to just keep going. And then when we get to the next step, I'm either going to figure it out or I'll tap into the people that I know who to go ask, like how to shortcut that problem. And we'll get there one way or another, man.
Oh yeah. And well, for the homeless thing, the open market will take care of it.
Yeah.
And I always say Fresno is the downside of capitalism because there's no middle class.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why
it's true.
Bro, that's why everybody gets squeezed out.
It's very true, man. And that's what's sad, dude. I feel there's so many people that, out here, like you've kind of tricked yourself into thinking that, you're going to, and that's going to change really quickly, dude. And that's a very good analogy. I've never heard that because it's very much like the haves and the have-nots.
Bro, that's all it is. Like there is no, you can go to a good paying job, live good middle America. It's kind of crazy, right? Yeah. I'm all capitalist.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's go. Then you live in this environment. And then Shaw.
Yeah.
Like if you pass Shaw, it's two completely different.
It changes, man. Yeah. And the people that are the haves are going to continue to come from some of these markets where they're making significantly more money and their dollar just stretches further
down more.
Yeah, dude. And that's just the nature of what's happened with COVID and all this stuff, dude. Like the world is changing and like remote work and all this stuff, like that's not going away, dude. You know what I mean? If anything, it's just going to become worse and it's going to create that kind of dynamic where you're talking about where people that come in that make $300,000 a year in the Bay Area, right, can now come and afford to buy basically a mansion in Fresno when that $300,000 only bought them 1,000 square foot house in San Jose. And where would you rather stay? If I can work from wherever and I'm from Fresno and all my family's from Fresno, dude, and I can go live in this really cool house, like why do I want to be, why do I want to be dealing with traffic every day?
Hell yeah. All right. Do you guys have anything else that you want to know? Mastering skills is number one. How do you join the mastermind? How much does it cost? Masterminds all vary depending on ones you want to join. But if you are getting started, shortcutting to skills is my number one thing, right?
I agree.
I will pay money to someone if I know they're legit. I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
How'd you get there? All right, here's a check.
Yep.
Give me your time.
Yeah.
I'm buying their time.
You do. And you have to look at it not as a cost, but it's really an investment in yourself. You're making an investment in yourself. That's how you have to look at it. And you also have to go into it with looking through the lens of like whoever you're paying for your coach or your mentorship, nobody is going to do anything for you. So you've got to be ready to show up to work every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to show up with your lunch packed every day because none of this is going to work unless you come in and work. Like I worked a crazy amount of hours, dude. And I've got a really relentless work ethic right now. You know what I mean? And I've got a drive and a motor that just goes. So for me, like you've got to be able to show up every day. It's not going to be just because I pay somebody X amount of dollars that something magic is going to happen. They're taking your learning curve, the year that I spent on YouTube and podcasts, they're taking it and going like this. And they're giving you everything and shortcutting it, but you've got to actually go and implement, right? And so I think it's those two big things, right? And if you're like legitimately at a place where you don't have the money to do it, like you need to get around. That's what I did is I created basically my own accountability group or a mastermind, I guess that's what you want to call it. It wasn't paid, but it was guys like Alan and all these other people that I basically got around them, or I've kind of made relationships with with other people.
By showing that you're doing action, right?
Exactly.
Because like you were actually moving, then Alan will give you a time of day. The only reason I haven't got close to Alan is because Alan, what the fuck do you do, bro? Yeah. Oh, I do this. He's like, go knock on all these doors to see if you get a sell.
That's it.
Go knock on doors for a summer, don't get anything. But I got close to Alan. I spent a year and a half with him, like every day. Yeah. And it was like it probably is the most life-changing thing I ever did. Yeah. Is spending that time.
And you can see it, dude. You can see it in certain people that they've got something different than other people. You know what I mean? Because you get a lot of people that will come and talk to you, and then a year later, you're basically talking about the same thing. And I'm like, dude, are we really like this is the same exact position that you're at a year ago? And then you see other people that get it and that you talk to them. And then 6 months later, it's like, damn, I closed 7 deals. You know what I'm saying? Like Emilio is a kid like that, dude. Like I kind of use him as an example because I'm like, dude, if this kid can be 18 doing this from, I don't know where he's living. I'm assuming he's living with his parents, but like, he
lives with his parents. He's one of my mentees. He lives with his parents, does virtual deals in Stockton. Never saw the people.
Dude, it's like, and he's 19. I
mean, he's 8. He did his first deal at 17 years old.
It's crazy, dude. So it's like I have adults that are coming to me, giving me excuses about why they can't do this and that and the other thing. And then I think about this kid, right? And I don't even say that in a negative way, but to me, he's a very young adult,
Bro,
right?
17 years old.
And he's here closing multiple deals remotely in a market like everybody talks about California's. It's like this
it's so
hyper
hard.
competitive market. We can't do this stuff and blah, 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 blah. And it's like that should be enough proof to you that you're just giving yourself a bunch of lame excuses, honestly, dude, because there's nothing that he doesn't have that you don't have, right? You know what I'm saying? And so
besides work ethic.
Exactly, right? And so now, like, are you willing, going back to that conversation we're talking about, can you turn the mirror on you and say, maybe it is my fault that I'm in this position. Maybe I've got to start doing something differently. Maybe tomorrow or today is when I'm going to change, dude. And so, yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah. All right. Chang Si says knowledge is only power if you actually use it. He loves this content. And then Gary says he loved this and he's going to watch it 20 times.
Nice.
Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Bro, do you have anything else you want to leave everybody with?
Nah, dude, I really genuinely just enjoy helping people. You know, like, it's always me responding on my DM. So if you send a message to me, like, know that I'll get back to you. It may not be that same day, but it's always me. And I like to help, answer questions, be a resource if I can, man. So if you're struggling with your journey, don't be afraid to reach out. I'll do my best to help you if I can do it.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to go give us a 5-star review. Go like, subscribe, share it on your social, everything. I'm too cheap to run ads.
Don't need them this day and age, man. Yeah.
Right? Don't need to. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Jake, you can take us out. Thanks, man. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Winning Move Podcast. I hope it helps you make all the right moves in your life and business. Please make sure to go like and subscribe on any podcast platform that you're listening to. And make sure to go follow me on Instagram @StratDaddy. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon.